So, Mr. Secretary, the president is heading overseas in about 2 weeks' time, going to Europe, the NATO summit in Vilnius being the centerpiece. Preview, if you will, what his message is going to be there. But more importantly, Finland is coming in. Sweden is looking on the verge, with Turkey having objected in the past, but President Erdogan having now gained re-election. Are you confident that he will drop his resistance to Sweden joining the alliance? And if so, could it even happen at that summit?
Well, first, Jonathan, I think the message for Vilnius is clear, and it's been the message that we've had all along, which is our greatest strength among allies is in our unity. And the unity that we've seen from day one, from before day one of the Russian aggression, has been extraordinary. And I think some people had doubts about whether it could be sustained. On the contrary, it's stronger than ever. And that can be seen in NATO itself, which is stronger than it's ever been. As you said, it's already admitted one new member, Finland, and I'm confident that Sweden will be joining Finland very soon. And we're working on that. That, too, has been a profound failure of Putin's war of aggression against Ukraine. It's extraordinary. No one would have imagined before the Russians went in that Finland and Sweden would be members of NATO. I don't think anyone would have imagined that NATO itself would be growing stronger and stronger. And the irony is, NATO has never presented a threat to Putin. It doesn't have any designs on Russia. It's a defensive alliance, and yet Putin's obsession with it has actually created a stronger alliance.
We're already 16 months into the war. February 24th of last year is when Vladimir Putin invaded. It's already been a long war. Many people talking about potential off-ramps for Vladimir Putin, ways to end this war in a peaceful manner. But the Ukrainians say, well, we're not going to give up anything. We were the ones invaded. I'm not giving territory to Vladimir Putin for his war of aggression. So as you sort of game this out and talk to leaders on both sides and in Europe, what is a reasonable way? What is a reasonable path to peace from where we are right now?
Well, first, Willie, you're exactly right that we have one of these rare instances because so much of what we do around the world is in shades of gray. This is pretty black and white. You've got an aggressor, you've got a victim. And one thing we can't lose sight of when we're talking strategy, we're talking how does this end, we're talking the events of this weekend, we can't lose sight of what this is actually means day in, day out, the human dimension. Just yesterday, the Russians went at another civilian area in Kramatorsk, destroyed a pizzeria where people were, eating their meal. Just pick one day in April, an attack on a city called Uman, hundreds of miles from the front lines. Early morning, before dawn, civilian building destroyed by Russian missiles. A father, a guy named Dmitro, runs to his children's room, opens the door to their room. Kirillo, 17, Sophia, 11 years old, opens the door. The room is gone. His kids are gone. Just 2 of the 6 children killed that one day in April. So let's not lose sight of this. But stepping back from that, we've all been very clear that this ultimately is going to end with diplomacy, with a negotiation. The main impediment to that right now is President Putin's conviction that he can somehow outlast Ukraine and outlast the rest of us. That's not going to happen. And I think one of the things you'll see at NATO is a demonstration of our enduring commitment to Ukraine, not only in the moment, not only in the immediate in terms of helping it with the counteroffensive, but also in helping it build up over time a strong deterrent and defense force so that Putin can't repeat this in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years. The sooner President Putin internalizes that, the sooner there's a chance to get to a genuine negotiation. The terms of a settlement ultimately have to be up to the Ukrainians, but we know some basic principles. Peace has to be just and durable, and by just, I mean that it has to account for the basic principles at the heart of the UN Charter: territorial integrity, sovereignty. These have to mean something. We can't validate someone's seizure of another country's territory by force. That would be a Potemkin peace.
So, Mr. Secretary, I just want to build on Willie's point there. Given the Ukrainian determination, where are we in this war? Are we still in the beginning stages? Are we looking at another winter ahead? And is there any concern that the U.S. Congress or support around the world might wane?
Everything I'm seeing, Mika, is that the support remains. It remains strong. It remains bipartisan, and it remains transatlantic. And beyond transatlantic, we have about 50 countries, including well beyond Europe, who are all supporting Ukraine. And my strong sense is that people remain deeply committed to this, deeply committed to making sure that Ukraine emerges and emerges with a just and durable peace. That's the focus. No one can tell you when this is actually going to end. What we can tell you, what I can tell you, is that our commitment is there, and we're determined to make sure that Ukraine comes out in a good place, in a place that is genuinely just and durable.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, thank you very much for coming on Morning Joe.